Hi everyone, welcome to Unit 2 of English 2. Today we're going to be looking at usual activities, routines, general things that we do in our everyday life or every week life. We're going to be looking at some language and some grammar, but mostly at home you're going to be working by yourself. Okay. Again, hopefully you have bought the textbook. Maybe you've been able to go or get it sent to you via the sent to you from the online bookstore. Um, if not, you can use the screen for today. I'm going to be using the ebook. Again, something that is very handy for studying and reviewing when you have to do the later quizzes. Okay, let's start with as we usually do, with the starter activity on page 12. Okay, we're just going to look at it, the instructions here, and we're going to be looking at a number of activities today. Okay, we have words and some images, so if your vocabulary is not exact, you can look at that for a moment. What you're going to do is you're going to classify the age groups that use or do these activities. In each picture, you're given three letters. The letters are CTA, as it says here. You can see that C refers to children. Teens will be noted by the letter T, and adults will be letter A. So looking at the first activity in the starter activity, jogging. Okay. Now, which age groups generally jog? Okay. According to the person writing this, this is an activity that is dominated by teens and adults. So maybe it's something that children do not do. Okay, it's something that older people do. Okay, so you can classify each of these activities, whether it's an activity done by a child, a teen, or an adult. Okay. I think you know most of these activities, um, and probably many of these you have performed or done. Just note about hiking. Many of my students incorrectly call this mountain climbing. I think the Korean word is 등산하다, and that would be a slightly different activity than mountain climbing. To me, mountain climbing is something that a mountaineer would do. They might climb maybe Mount Everest or some very high mountain. Hiking is something that most people can do on a hiking trail. Okay. Probably most of you are familiar with yoga, even if you have not done it. It seems to me that it is a series of stretching exercises. And aerobics is an activity not very common in Korea, but it is an activity where you're doing a lot of cardio exercises. Okay. All right, so we can try that out. Right, so just put a check mark by each of these activities, whether it's done by a teen or an adult. Okay, I'm going to put this on standby, and then we can resume when you are finished. All right, so there's not so much to review here. Something you can do on your own. What you want to do now that you've classified each of these, you're going to match these activities with the correct verbs. Okay, so each of these is the name of an activity. Okay, so golf is the name of a sport. Yoga is the name of an exercise. Hiking is the name of an activity. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to rewrite these words underneath these verbs. So the verb choices are go, do, oops, and play. Okay. So the first one, is it go jogging, do jogging, or play jogging? Okay. All right. So the answer obviously is go jogging. Okay. So do the matching exercise, then we'll do a quick review of each of these activities matched with the appropriate verb. Okay, let's review which activities go with which verbs. So you can see in the example we have here with go, we know that jogging matches with the verb go. Two other sports that you would use the verb go would be hiking and bike riding. Okay. Now all three of these activities are exercises or activities that where you have to really move from where you are right now and go somewhere. Okay, so maybe you can exercise at home, but you cannot hike at home. Maybe you can exercise at home, but you cannot bike ride at home. You have to go somewhere and do that. And you see this verb go with other activities where you need to be in a certain environment to do the activity, like go swimming. Okay, you can't swim at home, so you have to go somewhere to a swimming pool and perform the activity. Okay. You might go skating. Okay, probably you can't do that anywhere. You have to go to a certain place and do that activity. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so an activity you need to be in a certain environment. Okay, so looking at, we'll skip do and go straight to play. Play is often used with sports. Okay, so play volleyball would be one. Play soccer would also be another verb that uses the verb play. And probably the third one would be golf. Okay, so those are the names of sports. Okay. Often these are sports that you would play with other people. And people have said any sport that involves a ball, soccer ball, volleyball, golf ball, they use the word play. Okay. But to me, it's really the name of a specific sport, especially team sports, okay? An activity you would do with other people. Okay. Now the other ones would be do. Okay, so you would do taekwondo, you would do aerobics, you would do yoga. So for do, these are often exercises. Okay. You wouldn't really play taekwondo even though you might be on a team. It's sort of a one-on-one sport. Yoga and aerobics, again, these are things you might do with other people, but the action is really with and towards yourself. Okay. So do yoga, do taekwondo, do aerobics, go jogging, go hiking, go bike riding. Okay. And play soccer, play volleyball, and play golf. Okay. Good. And at any time, if you want to review the vocabulary, you can by using word cards, or you can use this practice activity to match these different sports and activities. Okay. Let's go on to the dialogue at the bottom, and we're going to be doing some listening. All right, for the listening activity, we're going to listen 3 times, and the first one, I just want you to listen to the dialogue. You're going to hear 2 people speaking, a man and a woman. You're going to listen to the short dialogue, and you're going to try and understand as much information as you can. Okay, and we're going to try this out. All right, here's your first listening.
Dialogue Module 2. I work out almost every day. Listen to the dialogue. Then, read it with a partner.
Let's take a break. I can't jog anymore.
You're doing great.
Are you kidding? I'm dying and you're not even sweating yet. Do you exercise often?
Yes, I work out almost every day.
That's why you're in great shape. How often do you run?
I run 3 times a week.
Wow, I need to be more active.
We can jog again tomorrow.
That sounds good. I usually relax on Saturday, but I want to change my routine.
Okay, that was your first listening. What did you hear about the people? Okay. What did we learn about them? About their routines, about what kind of people they are? And in the conversation, what are they doing? Okay. Now, I want you to think of those answers as I throw up some questions on the screen here. Okay. So listen again, and when you listen, try and find out the answers to these questions. Okay. Some of these answers you may already know the answer to because you have just listened. All right. So number 1, what are Russell and Lydia doing? Okay. So Russell and Lydia are the 2 people we heard talking. Russell is the man and Lydia is the woman. Okay. So when we heard them talking, what were they doing? Now, we studied the grammar last week. We know the question I'm asking about is not what are they doing these days or in this general limited time. What are they doing right now? Okay, so what are Russell and Lydia doing at the time of the dialogue? Number 2, how often does Russell work out? Okay, so we're going to talk about the man. And we're asking how often. So we're looking at a period of time that he does, a number of activities in a period of time. Okay. So listen for that information. Workout. Okay. So that's maybe another word for exercise. Okay. So maybe he's doing some kind of training. Okay. Okay. And number 3. Who is in better shape? Russell or Lydia? Okay. So we talk about a person's shape, we're talking about maybe their general condition. Maybe in this case, their physical condition. Okay. Are they healthy? Are they maybe in a good, healthy structure to their body? Who is in better shape? So you're going to compare these 2 people. Okay? If you listen closely, you should get the answer. Number 4 is the same as number 2. How often does Russell run? Okay? The difference is the verb. Instead of a general word or phrase like exercise or workout, here we're looking for a specific type of exercise. So how often does Russell work out? How often does Russell run? And number 5, we're going to find out about Lydia. What does she usually do on Saturdays? Okay. So what is a usual activity, like a normal activity, something she does maybe not all the time, but does very often. All right, so what does Lydia usually do on Saturdays? So not just any day of the week, but her usual Saturday activity. Okay, I'm going to leave this on the board, on the screen. You can listen a second time and check your answers. Here's your second listening.
Dialogue Module 2. I work out almost every day. Listen to the dialogue. Then, read it with a partner.
Let's take a break. I can't jog anymore.
You're doing great.
Are you kidding? I'm dying and you're not even sweating yet. Do you exercise often?
Yes, I work out almost every day.
That's why you're in great shape. How often do you run?
I run 3 times a week.
Wow, I need to be more active.
We can jog again tomorrow.
That sounds good. I usually relax on Saturday, but I want to change my routine.
All right, let's listen a third time. Check your answers for these 5 questions. Okay, here is your third listening.
Dialogue Module 2. I work out almost every day. Listen to the dialogue. Dialogue Module 2. I work out almost every day. Listen to the dialogue. Then, read it with a partner.
Let's take a break. I can't jog anymore.
You're doing great.
Are you kidding? I'm dying and you're not even sweating yet. Do you exercise often?
Yes, I work out almost every day.
That's why you're in great shape. How often do you run?
I run 3 times a week.
Wow, I need to be more active.
We can jog again tomorrow.
That sounds good. I usually relax on Saturday, but I want to change my routine.
All right, so that's your third listening. Let's go over the answers right here. Okay, so the first question, what are Lydia and Russell doing? Okay, we can see that in the first statement. Okay, let's take a break. I can't jog anymore. Okay, so we see that, and so it means they're in the middle of jogging. Okay, so they're jogging at that time right there. Okay. Now the second question, we're trying to find out how often does Russell exercise? Okay, how often does Russell work out? So we see that. The question, do you exercise often? And he responds with a different verb. Okay, but they're talking about the same thing. So the answer for number 2, he works out almost every day. Okay, so not every day, but almost every day. Okay. Question number 3, who is in better shape, Russell or Lydia? Okay, so Lydia says right here, you're in great shape. Okay, now that doesn't mean she's in bad shape, but we know from what she says here. She says, I'm dying. And Lydia says, you, meaning Russell, are not even sweating yet. Okay, so that means that he is not tired. He's not sweating or losing any water from exercising very hard. Okay, Lydia says, I'm dying. Okay, so she's not actually dying, but she maybe is in a lot of pain or discomfort because the exercise is very difficult for her, but for Russell, it's not difficult. Okay, so the answer for number 3, Russell is in better shape. Okay. Question 4, how often does Russell run? He says, I run 3 times a week. Okay. So in a 7-day period, he runs 3 times. Okay, we'll be looking at that kind of structure in a moment. Finally, question 5. What does Lydia usually do on Saturdays? Okay, she usually relaxes on Saturdays. Okay. All right, so this dialogue, we've looked at different ways that people spend their time. We look at their routines, things they usually do, okay, and also about how often they perform certain activities. So in this one, right here, we'd see, again, a routine. I usually relax on Saturday. And then how often they run or how often they work out. Okay, so these are bits of information about what they do. And again, if you're using the ebook, if you're having trouble with some of the dialogue, you can see a translation here, and you can see what they're talking about in the dialogue. So that's a bit of help that you get from the ebook. Okay. Let's continue up to the grammar. On page 13 at the top, we can see these adverbs of frequency. Okay. Well, some of them are just simply words or phrases that describe the element of time there. Something that always happens is something that happens 100% of the time. And something that never happens means it happens 0% of the time. So you have these numerical evaluations of the words. Okay. Also, common words that we use are usually or almost always. So it's about maybe the same meaning. And you have words like almost never, hardly ever, rarely, seldom. These are words to describe things that happen, but at a very infrequent. So it's something that would would not be experienced very much at all. In the middle, we have other words like often or sometimes. Okay, so sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. Okay, so it's not really a common activity like these words. It's not a rare activity like these words, but they happen and they don't happen. Okay, so it's so without looking at too much semantic value, that's how we use those words. A bit easier easier explanation here would be looking at these kind of phrases here that describe how often something happens. Okay, so if somebody says 5 times a week, okay, then you're looking at a period of time, a week, and the number of times that it happens. So again, the number of times in a period of time. So you might do something 10 times a day, or as it says down here, once a year. Okay. So in a 1-year period, there would be 1 happening. So you celebrate your birthday once a year. Okay. And other things. So once a week, you might go to church or something. Okay, so anything. So these are a bit easier to explain. It's a number of times in a period of time. Okay. And you've seen those examples used before in this dialogue here. And we're going to start using some of them right now in the speaking activity. All right, so on your own or with a partner, you can talk about these people or groups of people, these pairs of people, and you're going to talk about their usual activities. Okay. So, for example, if you want to talk about Jack, or if you want to talk about Sue and Kumar, okay, you're going to be talking about, ask questions about what they do, and there are different ways to talk about how often. Okay, So an example here, if you're talking about George, he does an activity 2 times a week. Okay. Susan does it 1 time a day or every day. And Ray and Ellen do it always. Kim does it often, and Chao and Jin do it sometimes. Okay. So take a moment and construct these sentences. One partner will ask the question. The name and the verb are given at the top here. And in the answer, you have the adverb of frequency at the bottom. Okay, so I'll just let you take a moment to do this alone or with a partner. Okay, so again, as we saw last week, you want to pay special attention to the differences in the prompt questions and answers. When you're talking about one other person, whether it's a he or a she, you're going to be using the third person as, both in the question and the answer, whereas here you don't. So the first example, you're talking about one other person. Does Susan swim? Yes, she swims every day. Does George vacuum? Yes, he vacuums twice a week. Do Ray and Ellen read? Yes, they always read. Does Kim ride the bus? Yes, she often rides the bus. Do Chao and Jin stay up late? Yes, they sometimes stay up late. Notice when you're using this form, once a week, it comes after the verb. Okay. You could use this adverb of frequency after the action, but we usually put it before. All right, so this concludes the first lecture. I'm going to continue with the second part of the unit in the lecture number 2.